While waiting for blessings and results from God, your families and friends may be serving as hindrances to you receiving God's blessings. They may be preventing you from receiving your heart's desire from God. You must stop letting them deprive you of God's blessings and favors. One way your family and friends may have been blocking God's blessings for your life is when they don't correct you when you do the wrong things. For example, it's possible that you have anger issues and don't know how to keep a long-term friendship with people. If your family and friends don't call you to order, you would keep going in that path and would block any blessings that God may have intended to put in your life through these friendships. It's important at this point to look for someone who you can be accountable, someone you can report, someone who would correct your wrongdoings and ensure that you don't miss out on God's blessings. You have to ensure that you don't keep letting them encourage your bad attitudes and personality by their silence. If your families and friends keep leaving you to make the wrong decisions, it's obvious that they don't want the best for you and should wake up and realize that their silence is only leading to negative results in your life and would block you from getting the blessings that God designed for you. Wake up, check yourself. If you know there's something negative or wrong in your life that your families or friends have been enhancing, go ahead to stop that so you can receive the blessings that God has put in your path. One way you can know that they're enabling your bad behavior is if other people that aren't close to you always talk about something you're doing badly, and yet your family and friends are silent about it. You should listen to an outside voice, perhaps from a mentor, counselor, or pastor, so that you can stop letting them enable you in bad ways. Stop letting them enable you so that you can receive your blessings from God. Your families and friends may even be blocking God's blessings for your life by causing you to reduce or stop your fellowship and service to God. You must be smart and vigilant to detect this very soon, because they would do it in the most subtle ways. It wouldn't be a gradual stopping, of course. They most likely won't call you and tell you to stop serving God. What they would rather do is distract you from your service or fellowship to God. They may compel you to do for them at the times you ought to be attending a church service or meeting. They may lure you into spending times outside of church and fellowship with God. If you follow their plans and thoughts, then you would be on a path of destruction, because soon enough you would be away from God totally, and all His plans for accomplishing His great purposes through you would come to nothing. Be smart and vigilant. Remember that the devil, your adversary, goes about like a roaring lion, searching for whom to devour. Your families and friends can serve to fulfill the devil's purpose and plan for your life. Their action of separating you from God may be what is blocking your blessings, because of course when you're far from God, you cannot receive from Him. You must stop following their plans or activities. Hold on strong to your faith and don't let them stop you from receiving God's blessing for your life. Don't allow them to successfully come between you and your fellowship with God. If they can do this, then they would block you from getting your heart's desires, blessings, and requests from God. If your families and friends aren't some forms of godly examples or models that you can follow, then one way or the other, they would distract you from God. If all they do is teach you ungodly behaviors and attitudes, it will cause you to lose your blessings and block your paths because you will be led away from God's plan and an oath for your life. Stop allowing these sorts of people to be your models in certain important areas. It's better to build godly friends and relationships. Be with people who can help you build a much better fellowship life with God. Stop letting people block God's blessings for you. Move closer to godly people who can help you move closer to God. Remember that if you're away from God, it'll be harder to receive from Him. This is because you would be less sensitive to His leadings and His instructions. And when you can't hear from Him, you would lose direction and not be able to receive from Him. Move away from these people and let's stop letting them block God's blessings for you. You can move closer to people in your local church so that you can have a support system that wouldn't stop or block God's blessings for your life. You don't have to cut away totally from your friends or family. Rather, you can just keep a distance, define the relationship, and determine what you will take from them and what you will not take from them. You can try to know if you can accept advice or follow a model example from them. After this, spend time with your friends that would keep you with God. You must do all you can to still maintain a good relationship with your family and friends, while ensuring that they don't draw you away from God or cause you to lose your blessings from God. They stop you from carrying out God's plan for your life if there are people in your life that prevent you from achieving God's plan for your life. Then you must stop allowing them to do this. You must take steps to make sure that they won't hinder God's blessing in your life. If your family and friends are consistently able to move you away from God's purpose or plan in life, then they would hinder you from receiving God's blessings. Carrying out God's purpose for your life is one way of achieving great success and receiving blessings from God. If your family and friends discourage you from carrying out God's purpose for you, then they're on the path of pushing you away from God's blessings. They may do this by pushing you and stopping you from preaching, singing in church, soul winning, or other things that God has put in your heart. Your families and friends may be causing you to do harmful and bad things that lead to bad consequences. They may be leading you to great disobedience to God, adultery, pride, rebellion, unbelief, unforgiveness, and unrepentance, which will eventually lead you into massive trouble and would hinder you from receiving from God. Don't give space to the devil to hinder you from your blessings. Your families are not the devil. However, they may be an instrument that the enemy is willing to use at the moment. Stop letting them block God's blessings and results in your life. If you've tried many precautions and it's not working, you may need to move away from them. If you're in a place of unforgiveness with your family and friends, then they could be hindering God's blessing to you. This unforgiveness can cause you to lose out on God's blessings to have processed from the relationship between you and them. In this case, you'll have to forgive them or seek their forgiveness if it was you who did wrong. Your family and friends' attitudes can also prevent you from receiving from God. If, for example, your family and friends always talk down on faith and miracles, it means that they don't believe in receiving from God. But that's not even the issue. The issue occurs when they keep speaking and saying certain things in disbelief. The more they say this, the more your heart gets conditioned to disbelief. And when you keep hearing it, you may also begin to disbelieve the blessings and results you're expecting from God. It would hinder you from getting blessed by God, because a lack of faith means a lack of results. If they're so talked to you and impacted you greatly to a point of disbelief and doubts about God, to a point of disbelief and doubts about God's prayer answering capabilities, then they've succeeded in their mission. Even Apostle James said that faith is important in receiving from God. James 1 verse 6 says, "But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed." 1 verse 7, "For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord." If your family or friends have been doing any of the above things, it means they've been hindering you from God's blessings. It's time to go ahead to receive your blessings from God. Be bold and stop letting them take your place in destiny. Stop allowing them to block God's blessings for your life. And stop letting them move in your life in ways that will cause you not to receive from God. Be smart and vigilant. Don't lose God's blessings for your life because of your friends or families, and don't allow them to steal your joy.